Hi, I'm Troy McClure. Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You may remember me from such educational films as 2 minus 3 equals negative fun and Firecrackers, the Silent Killer. You may remember me from such nature films as Earwigs, Ooh, and Man vs. Nature, The Road to Victory. You may remember me from such medical films as Alice Doesn't Live Anymore and Mommy, What's Wrong with That Man's Face? In all the animal kingdom, no mother is more devoted than the blue jay.
Mr. McClure?
Oh, hello, Bobby.
Jimmy, I'm curious as to how meat gets from the ranch to my stomach.
Have you ever wondered why fat parents have fat children? Or why Chinese parents have Chinese children? Whoa, 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 slow down, Jimmy. You just asked a mouthful. Valuing her eggs above even her own life, the mother bird bravely fights off such fearsome predators as the badger and the mongoose. Of course, one thing Mother Blue Jay can't defend against is a set of steel tongs.
Mr. McClure, I have a crazy friend who says it's wrong to eat meat. Is he crazy?
No, just ignorant. You see, your crazy friend never heard of the food chain. Eggs, precious eggs. If they're to survive, they require the gentle warmth and tender love that only a mother can provide. Or better yet, a 75-watt bulb.
But Mr. McClure, what is DNA?
What the? Oh, hi, Billy. Let's find out together. It all starts here in the high-density feedlot. Then when the cattle are just right, it's time for them to graduate from Bovine University. DNA is God's recipe for making you. Just ask this scientician. He'll tell you that in nature, one creature invariably eats another to survive.
They look awfully hungry, Mr. McClure.
They sure are, Billy. In nature, their mother would regurgitate food for them to eat. You take a dash of Dad, a pinch of Mom, then we bake for 9 months and... that's good, Billy.
That's gross.
It sure is, Billy. It sure is. Don't kid yourself, Jimmy. If a cow ever got the chance, he'd eat you and everyone you care about.
Mr. McClure, what does DNA stand for? Wow, Mr. McClure, I was a grade A moron to ever question eating meat.
Yes, you were, Jimmy. Yes, you were.
You're hurting me.
You're listening to Within Our Borders on Yakima Nation Radio.
Hey. It's a real show. It's a real program.
Yeah, it was, had a lot of fun putting that together this morning. If you're just tuning in, you just heard the legendary Troy McClure and his series of educational films.
Welcome to Within Our Borders, issues affecting the Yakima community. Our show topic for this Wednesday, March 20th is Drug and Alcohol Awareness Week. What does Drug and Alcohol Awareness Week mean? What does drug and alcohol awareness mean? Well, I guess the week would be that some schools, including the YNTS, decided that they would have a week of events, right?
That's right. Actually, it just wrapped up Monday. The Yakima Nation Tribal School, YNTS, had a what's called a mock crash to wrap up their week of drug and alcohol awareness campaign.
And Mike was able to be there for the mock crash. And he was able to be there to film.
That's right. And
when you do film, you capture audio too, so we'll have the audio later on in the program. I got to see, what was it, probably about, I guess, 3 minutes of it, right?
That's right. And it was a big deal. It was, we'll get to that in a few minutes, but it was very, very real. There was 2 wrecked cars in the parking lot, and all the authorities showed up to clean up the mess.
And what I was thinking yesterday was that I was, I guess the word would be captured or
Captivated.
Captivated.
Yeah.
I was captivated by just the preview that Mike showed me at his office, because the performances by not only the staff but the students from Yakima Nation Tribal School, if anybody's listening who was a part of that, I want to tell you, you did a great job.
That's right, and we'll get to that in a few minutes, but I bet you're asking yourself one thing. What did that opening with Troy McClure have to do with Drug and Alcohol Awareness Week?
I was.
Yeah.
I'm sure the listeners were.
Yeah. So, if anybody doesn't know Troy McClure did these educational films on The Simpsons, and they were just pretty absurd, as you can clearly hear in the example. What was your favorite part of the example there, Ryan?
When the little boy says to Mr. McClure that one of his friends told him that he doesn't... He's such and such for not eating meat, and then Mr. McClure says, no, he's just ignorant. But I also like the part where he says that if a cow had the chance to eat him, he would.
Yeah, that's right.
So what was it about that made you decide that this was related to our topic?
Well, I think when talking about something as serious as Drug and Alcohol Awareness Week, especially talking with some students at Yakima Nation Tribal School, they had mixed feelings, at least in the beginning of starting a Drug and Alcohol Awareness Week. And I think we have a clip from a student's perspective, right?
Do you think Drug and Alcohol Awareness Week helped the school?
I don't think the kids really cared. Like, you had a lot of adults, like, just preach and tell them, like, what they thought about it and how, like, it was bad. And then, like, the kids will listen, but it goes in one ear and not the other. Because after they're done talking and, like, we're out there in the hallway, you hear kids talking about, oh, I'm gonna go get high after school, or getting spice and all that kind of stuff.
So we had a student's perspective, and the honesty is appreciated. Of course, we asked him to be honest.
That's true, and I think a lot of the honesty comes from some of that stuff you see in school. And I have another example. I'd like to share that right now, so here it comes.
Okay, so Mike's going to cue up another example, and I guess this would go to show why sometimes students might have doubts. So here it is.
I first dropped acid when I was 18. I was over at these people's house one night. This guy I went to school with was over there and asked me if I wanted to try some acid. I had read about it in the newspapers and heard a few friends talk about it, so I was curious. I was pretty jacked up on marijuana, so I decided to try it, and I dropped it. I don't know what I was waiting for, a flash or a rush or whatever, but I kept sitting there waiting, and nothing was happening. So I got up.
All right, Mike, so what is it we got going on now?
Well, if you could see the screen, and I will post links on our website. That is, you can find it through our Facebook page. But it's a pretty corny educational film out of the 1960s.
And you think this is kind of how kids ended up getting that pessimistic attitude about messages being given to them by adults?
I put mustard and ketchup and relish as usual. And I put the hot dog
I'm
in
listening.
my mouth.
They're talking about a hot dog. This gal in this video here is talking about how she's all tripped out trying acid, and I could just see a classroom full of students laughing at this point.
I didn't know what was happening. So
okay, we have a message from one of our listeners.
Did you hear that? Didn't you hear someone's...
You want to hear his message?
Let's hear it.
He says, wow, but it's true. You have those that don't care, but you do have the percentage that you reached out and got the attention of those.
Yes, exactly. And I think a lot of times, a lot of schools are in a weird place to where they don't have the creativity to come up with some things that can really reach students on a broader level. And you're left with these corny school films. And that's what I just wanted to illustrate. And when we heard that response from the student, and all I could think of is, in a lot of the schools, they have these cookie cutter pamphlets, you know, marijuana in you, or the bad choice. And I think that they're not really hitting the nail on the head.
It's not funny, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
So you had these
Marijuana and You.
Marijuana and You. Or I'm trying to think of what I've seen over the years, but, they approach it from all angles. And I think we'll hear a little bit from the students in the future.
I think the mock crash, I'm an adult. I am not a high school student. The mock crash got my attention.
Yeah, that's right. It was very arresting, I think.
The mock crash, I think, if the mock crash wasn't able to get those high school students' attention and to get the message to them, then nothing will, I think.
That's right. Do we have any other comments?
We have a comment from a parent. You want to hear that one?
Let's hear that one.
I believe parent involvement. Very much so. Probably the top priority is family involvement and just parents taking the time to sit down with their children and talk about the effects of drugs and alcohol. Also, and the media. We got so much media drawing the attention of our children today in regards to television, internet, bulletin boards. You go around here in Toppenish, you park at a store on the side of the buildings, in some stores, you see the big advertising for an alcoholic beverage with a pretty person, on there, and it's just telling them, giving them the message, hey, this is what happens when you drink, and it's just one of those things that our kids are drawn into. And also, it's just peer pressure as well. Even my own children talk about how their friends are changing as they grow older. So I think if most of all, it starts in the home is where it should start. And I think that's where the children will probably have the biggest impact is in the home and with their families.
So the question was, what will it take to get more of our youth in our community to stay away from drugs and alcohol? And that was his first response, parent and family involvement. But he also touched on the media playing a role in kids being drug and alcohol users. What do you think about that?
I think there's a lot of influence from even the tobacco and alcohol companies. They play a big role as far as not necessarily product placement, but I mean, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with the film Constantine with Keanu Reeves.
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
The first half of the film, and it's a really great film too. It's actually got a turnaround, but a lot of the characters are smoking. Smoking is a big thing, and when we see the characters on TV or on the movies smoking, it makes it seem cool. I hate to say it. There's another great show, one of my favorite shows that I just recently finished watching. It was called American Horror Story. It was on FX, I think, and I
saw the previews for that.
That's right, and it took place in the 60s, but then back then it was different too. But regardless, 80% of the time, I think somebody was lighting up in the show.
A cigarette?
Cigarette, yeah, lighting up a cigarette.
That has Adam Levine from Maroon 5 in it, right?
Correct, yeah, he was in the first few episodes.
Cool. Who else is in that?
Oh man, I can't even remember them all, but it was a good show.
American Horror Story?
American Horror Story. Asylum, I think. That was season 2.
Okay.
But that's not the only one. I guess we can ask the listeners, have they ever seen a show where it seemed cool to smoke cigarettes or drink booze or something? I can think of one right off the top of my head. One of the most famous ones for frat house rowdiness. Actually, there's two, actually, I can think of. What was that one called? Animal House.
Yeah. I kind of don't notice, I guess. And I guess that's how society is those kind of movies do have all the drinking and the partying and stuff, but you go to it for a comedy. But yeah, I guess it's true. You don't think about the lasting effects that those kind of messages or images will have on some people. Because I don't think going to see a movie that has a bunch of partying and stuff like American Pie, American Reunion, American Wedding affects me. But for some, it might.
Yeah, that's right. For some folks, it might. And then, you got to think about, everybody's habits when it comes to consuming media. How often are they watching these films? Every night? Twice a weekend? And it's not just, maybe it's just that style of films. Maybe the repetition of that just makes it seem desensitizing in a way.
So here's a look at some of the things that were done as ways to get the students' attention, and I guess to make it so it wasn't a book or a pamphlet handed to a kid. It was stuff that was interactive activities, all right? So they had hardcore musical chairs, and then the mock crash that you mentioned.
That's right.
At YNTS. They had an eating contest and a ninja, and they had an artist by the name of Superman who had a concert there. He's a really good guy. Good to be around. He has a positive, good message, and he does it in a fun way too. All right, then they had dodgeball. They had Eric Johnson there, a motivational speaker. They made posters. They had a Seahawks speaker. They walked to the RV park, kickball and fun, and different things like that.
Yeah. I heard, I think the walk had a large impact because they actually did walk quite a bit of ways. They walked from the Yakima Nation Tribal School all the way to the RV park. They literally walked. I thought they were going to catch a bus and just walk around the track, but they were serious about it, I heard.
We got one message. It says, I was the victim of a young drunken driver who struck me and my family members in our vehicle, and he was rehabilitated after serving time, but I am scarred for life, along with my ayah and children.
That's pretty serious stuff.
They also mentioned, when we talked about Animal House and American Pie and things like that, Fast Times at Ridgemont High and the character played by Sean Penn, Spicoli.
Spicoli, classic example. How many people grew up thinking, oh man, I want to be just like Spicoli?
I think I might be the exception because I didn't grow up thinking I wanted to be like him. Did I think he was cool? Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course I did. And I think that's what the message was when one of our parents from our community said that, is that the media, the way they make things out to be. Do you think Spicoli went on to become something successful?
I wouldn't say Spicoli himself, but I can tell you this, Sean Penn never played a Spicoli character to this date.
He didn't, did he?
No, I think maybe he had, he wised up. Spicoli grew up and became a serious Sean Penn.
That's true. All right, let's hear another soundbite. Now, these are from students from White Swan. They're part of something called the White Swan Dream Makers, and this is kind of a new issue because with drug and alcohol awareness this year, there's one drug that's talked about, which is marijuana, which kind of has a new twist to it.
Oh, wow, this is news to me.
Well, marijuana is now legal in the state of Washington.
Oh, that is right. That is the twist, isn't it?
So, what do you tell somebody?
That is a very, very hard question. I'm not sure we'll ever really get full answers, at least not in the near future. On something
you know
like
what's
that.
different too, Mike?
What's that?
Alcohol is different for you and I as well.
That's technically true.
Not you and I, us as a community. Because if you grow up in a community off the reservation, alcohol might not be, and I know for a fact it is not, near the problem it is for our community here.
Right. I can definitely see that.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I think I get what you're saying.
I don't want my kids to drink, even if they are 21.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Me? No, actually, no. I can say I don't. No.
Now, if I lived in a community where all these issues and problems weren't so prevalent in my life, I know I wouldn't mind as much. You get what I'm saying, though? That's why I think that drug and alcohol awareness events, activities, speakers, mock crashes are more important in our community.
That's right. I have to say I agree. Being at the mock crash, and we'll get to that in a few, it's very, very startling stuff. So if you have a friend, definitely tell them to turn on the radio, and in a few we'll have that mock crash to share with the community here, because I think even just hearing it and imagining how it looks will really leave a haunting image in your mind.
This has to do with marijuana use, and this is a 7th grade student.
My name is Danny Carrillo. I am a White Swan Dream Maker. I am 13 years old. I am concerned about the legalization of marijuana. Marijuana is still marijuana, and being legal does not change the negative health consequences associated with it. People who smoke marijuana have a high rate of emphysema and bronchitis. Marijuana causes increased heart rate and change in blood pressure. It could also lower your IQ by 8 points. Know the facts. Marijuana is still legal for kids.
So they took it upon themselves. They decided, okay, we want to make a message letting people know how we feel, the youth, about marijuana becoming legal. What'd you think?
I think it was very powerful because, I mean, a lot of times we hear a lot of folks having their own 2 cents or commentary, and I think, I'm glad it happened now that now we're hearing what the kids think and how it's going to affect their lives. That was a very powerful message.
I think if we could ask the question to our community, are you for or against the legalization of marijuana? Did you vote when it came to the, what is that called? Bill.
Yeah, the something bill. I forgot the number.
I did too. Did you vote?
Did I vote? I did vote.
Be honest. You really did?
Yeah, I voted, and I remember that was. I tried to make it to the primary elections, and I do remember that being on the ballot.
Do you mind if I just put you right on the spot?
Yeah, I do mind. Voting is secret, and that's the one thing.
Okay.
It's the one thing you can't, you can do in a booth.
You're right.
And yeah.
I didn't vote.
You didn't vote?
I don't think... It's so tough because when you listen to people who are for and people who are against, and this goes with a lot of issues. Okay, Mike, if you're sitting there and you're for something, we have Squiggy sitting over here and he's against something. That's Squiggy, by the way. I don't know if I've introduced you.
That's right, Squiggy, the hog here.
You might have 5 great points as to why you being for something is the right answer. Squiggy might have 5 great points as to why he's against something.
That's right. So are you saying that you wouldn't decide, or are you saying you would just pick who's your better friend?
I guess I was kind of up in the air on a lot of issues. Things that were voted on.
Well, I have to applaud you for that, because, I mean, then you're not influenced by the media in general, just because everybody's saying vote yes and everybody's saying vote no. Deciding for yourself is probably the most important thing.
And I still haven't decided.
Still haven't decided.
Do I want my kids to be marijuana users when it's good and legal? I don't know. I don't use marijuana. It stinks to me.
That's right.
There might be somebody listening right now who does. It doesn't mean that I don't like them. It doesn't mean that when I see them, I'm going to say, oh, I don't like you. You use that. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of...
Yeah.
Well, what would you call this?
Undecided, right?
I guess, yeah. but I am decided on myself. I have my own choice of what I want in life and what I want to involve or use in my life. And if somebody else has a different view on it, as long as they're not hurting anybody, I don't mind.
Cool. Well, let's go to another soundbite. Well, let's see what some of the other community members think.
Okay.
From what I can see, I think it's talked about more. So I think we're able to more openly talk about the issues, and the kids are able to talk about it. So, and they're more aware of the problem. And I believe that kids are saying no.
A question. Do you believe that drug and alcohol awareness messages are getting to the kids more so now than 10 years ago? That was the question. I forgot to mention that before we played the soundbite.
I think definitely so. There's a lot more coverage on this sort of stuff. And I think knowing the consequences, and the consequences are actually pretty steep when you come to think about it. I mean, a lot of kids are just saying it's just not worth it.
It's true. Do you want to hear another White Swan Dreammaker on their messages about legalization of marijuana?
That sounds great.
We'll do that right now.
Hello, my name is Oscar Suarez. I am in the 7th grade. I am a part of the White Swan Dreammakers. With the new law passing marijuana, it will be easy for kids to get. Parents should know the signs and symptoms of it easier. Here are a few examples. The smell of marijuana on clothes, change of friends, and change of sleep. Set the rules for your kids. Know where they are and who they're with. Know the facts. Marijuana is still illegal for kids.
Okay. He said it'll be easier for the youngsters to get now that it's become legal.
You know, I read a statistic years and years ago, and this question was posed. Where is the easiest way, for a student to access alcohol? And some folks had the ideas like, oh, it's got to be the grocery store, or it's got to be the 7-Eleven because it's open 24 hours, or it's got to be like some kind of club store because they can buy it in bulk, and think about it that way. In all actuality, the best place that any student or any kid can easily access alcohol is where?
The parents?
The fridge.
Yeah.
It's in the fridge. If it's already in the fridge, they have access to it. And that's something to think about as far as culture goes.
You know what I think is happening with the programs of Within Our Borders?
What's that?
Each one is kind of overlapping, and each one kind of has the same overall message.
Oh,
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But today's program is similar to last week's program of communicating with your kids. I'm kind of finding that both topics kind of overlap, I guess.
Very nice. Very nice.
One of our listeners commented, said the fridge and the medicine cabinet.
Ooh, that's a whole nother hot topic. What are they? Pharmaceutical or prescription drugs?
Prescription drug abuse.
Prescription drug abuse.
What was that guy's name who we played in the beginning from The Simpsons?
Troy McClure.
How old were you when you first saw one of those skits on The Simpsons?
I had to have been like 8 or 9.
And you remembered it ever since? Because I've watched The Simpsons a lot, but I've never noticed that.
That's funny. I was a big fan, and it was a weird thing growing up. I actually grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and they have some of the poorest schools in the nation down there, and the teachers used to cart out 8mm films. You have like a movie day, right, in school from time to time. I was in the 2nd, 3rd grade still watching 8mm films, and they were just as cheesy as what I'd seen on The Simpsons there, and it just kind of stuck with me.
So when you were in high school, let's go back, and I think it was you or somebody else asked me this. What do I remember about Drug and Alcohol Awareness Week when I was in high school? And I answered honestly, and I said, I don't remember. I don't remember what we did, but I'm sure that we did something. So now, what else do you remember about when you were in high school about different activities and events for Drug and Alcohol Awareness Week? Do you remember?
I don't remember ever there being a full-on Drug and Alcohol Awareness Week. It was more of a filler. We just finished our standardized testing, and we have 30 extra minutes at the end of the day. Let's just pop in one of these lame videos. They had VHSs back then, of course.
Yeah. You like that drawing?
I do. It looks pretty good.
Just to show Mike how big of a Simpson fan I am, I drew a Bart Simpson character in about probably 20 seconds.
That looks good.
Hey, we got to take a break. But when we come back, Mike's going to tell us all about the mock crash because he was there to see it firsthand. And we'll also play some audio from that. But first, we have Toodle Time thanks to Mount Adams School District. Cole Ambo is a first grader at Hera. Let's hear from him right now.
Hi, I am Miguel Slakish, a 4th grade student in Hera Elementary. At our school, we write Toodle Notes. Toodle Notes are for thanking others. We give toodles to our friends, family, and teachers. Here's one of my friends reading a Toodle Note. Hello, this is my name, Cole. This is forecasted. Thank you for waiting in line nicely in the hall. Toodles are part of showing packs at our school. Packs means showing respect for each other, solving problems, and making good decisions. Check out the Mount Adams School District webpage to print off the Toodle Note so you can give one to someone who has done something nice for you.
Our district website is www.masd209.org.
Now that you've heard us on the radio, try it yourself.
Within Our Borders.
Issues affecting the Yakima community.
Every Wednesday from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Yakima Nation Radio. KYNR Toppin.
You're listening to Within Our Borders on Yakima Nation Radio.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in to Within Our Borders. Wednesdays, 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And we actually just got a phone call at 865-3900. So, we have Mike here.
Yeah.
He just took a phone call. Who was on the phone?
It was one of our good listeners, Terry. He'd mentioned that what it really relies on, and he'd mentioned he used himself as an example, is to set an example. Even though you might have made some poor choices, honesty is key too. So if you're going to be talking to your kids about serious issues like drug and alcohol awareness, they might have the choice when it comes to time when these students and these kids are adults, but while they're in your house, while you are the parent, set an example.
Thank you, Terry. Glad you're out there tuned into the show. And like I was saying earlier, that kind of goes into what we were doing last week.
That's right.
Communicating with our kids. All right, so was it this last Monday or was it the Monday before?
It was, today's Wednesday, so it was this Monday.
Oh, 2 days ago?
2 days ago.
All right, cool. So who all put this together, or do you know?
There is a leadership class at Yakima Nation Tribal School who took it upon themselves to somehow reach out to their fellow students. And they came up with this really great agenda of activities to last throughout the week. And to kind of top it all off, they ended on a bang, a really big bang. And as you'll hear in a few minutes, the mock crash, which took weeks of planning and coordinating with local authorities, tribal police, District 5 fire rescue, and the ambulances, and even the coroner's colonial here in town. Yeah.
Wow. Should we hear it now and then talk about it right after?
That sounds good. Let's do that.
Help! Somebody get help! There's been an accident! Help! Okay, what's the matter with you? Are you drinking? Get help! Oh my God!
What's your name? Tommy? Where are you hurting, Tommy? In your neck? All right, don't move for me, all right? What's the driver's name?
Come here and talk to me. What's your daughter? What happened?
What happened? Ma'am, come over here. Come over here. Let the medics take care of you, okay? Let's stand over here. It was an accident, okay?
What'd you do? What'd you do?
Okay? Let the medics take care of you, okay? Let the medics take care of you.
What did you do?
She's coming over there. Ma'am, calm down. Ma'am.
I see you breathing.
John's grab his hand.
All right, Mike. For those out there who are listening, if you can kind of talk about what this was like seeing it.
For those who were there, it was pretty horrific. They had two cars in the tribal school parking lot in what looked like to be a head-on collision. And there was a storyline to accompany the event. There was a couple in a single car that were just having a good time, and the other car happened to be a drunk driver with other students also in the vehicle. And there was one fatality in the event, in the script here. And what you've heard a few moments ago was a parent arriving on the scene in shock and in shambles over the death of their daughter. And then the other students were being pulled from the vehicle itself by use of the jaws of life. You can hear the hydraulics in the background as well as the ambulance and fire rescue sirens.
And they really did all of these things. When the ambulance showed up, they showed up like it was a real car accident.
Yeah, and the cops, they performed very well. They secured the scene, and they isolated any suspects, and had the medics and first responders tend to the wreck victims.
And the acting, you heard the crying. Hey, I'll be honest, watching the video of that and even hearing it again on just the audio,
yeah,
it's like watching something that's real.
Yeah, it played out as real as possible, and we gotta have a big thanks to Yakima Nation Tribal School for putting it on and coordinating with all the authorities and first responders. It was not only an exercise for all the parties involved, but I think it did open a lot of eyes on what an actual auto wreck would look like.
Now, Mike, I don't mean to give you more work. Is it okay if I ask if you're going to put that on YouTube or somewhere where the people who are listening now, maybe our website, can see the mock crash?
Yeah, I think as soon as I get approval from all parties involved, I think it's going to be up. But I mean, it is a pretty graphic, to say the least. The students were even in full makeup.
Right.
Full makeup would appear to be blood and broken glass and mangled auto parts. I think the tribal school is in the best interest to want to share things like this. And there'll be exclusives for the website as far as some of those interviews.
Who donated the cars?
That's a really good question. I don't know, but they were pretty mangled. What do you remember? How did the cars look in the film?
I mean, they made the cars look like it was a real wreck.
Yeah, head on. The front ends were totally smashed in, and then when the paramedics arrived, the fire rescue, when they arrived, they pulled out the hydraulic generators and they ripped the door off, right?
They really did that.
Yeah.
For those listening, and I don't mean to, I'm not... To describe it through the audio is one thing, but if you watch it, you will seriously... It'll change your day. And for the production of it, when I read the flyer, I kind of wondered, well, what's a mock crash? When I saw the video of it, I thought, all the staff at YNTS and the students who were involved in this, they deserve an award or something for it.
Yeah, they really did.
It changed my day the other day. I told Mike. Mike actually saw it change my day as I watched it.
Yeah, so if anybody's interested in seeing the mock crash, do stay tuned. We have a Facebook page. You can search us in Facebook. We are Within Our Borders, and links for the video and some exclusive interviews with the students and some of the planning will be on there.
All right, we have a comment. We actually had a couple phone calls, too. One comment, elders are the victim of the young adults who have the problem, and you have nighttime cough syrup for a cheap buzz.
I've heard of this, nighttime cough syrup for a cheap buzz. That was I don't know how do you say it, fad? It was a fad, I guess. I'm not sure that never really went away, I suppose.
One other comment, it said, just listening to it on the radio gives me chills, makes me feel ugly.
Yeah, the performance of the students of a mock crash, and that just means like a simulated crash. It looked pretty real being on the scene on Monday.
We had a phone call. They said, you guys have a little bit more entertaining version of Native America calling going on.
Wow, well that's a huge compliment.
It's a compliment.
Yeah.
That's good. I like Native America calling.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another listener who said there's a drug and alcohol-free awareness event going on this weekend. It's a Yakima Nation Round Dance Friday and Saturday. And the Washington State Division of Alcohol and Substance Abuse is sponsoring this along with the Yakima Nation Alcohol Program. And it's true, it's a family event that does raise awareness and have the message of not using drugs or alcohol. And this will be at the White Swan Pavilion this Friday and Saturday starting at 7. So if anybody out there is listening and this is something that you like to do with your family, a drug and alcohol-free event, Friday and Saturday, White Swan Pavilion, a round dance going on.
Very fantastic. I guess I've heard this as a tactic. I've been in the public health realm for a minute a few years ago, but they had this really cool word which actually stuck with me. It's called deterrent. A deterrent activity is something that you're doing, an activity or an event, that keeps you preoccupied. Because I think that a lot of times, if you ask a student, why are they drawn to destructive behaviors or things like making poor decisions, it's because number one, nobody's around, and number two, they're bored.
You know what? We asked a question to somebody in the community, and the question was, what does it take to get more kids to say no to drugs and alcohol?
I think we need to keep them involved in activities, healthy activities. It could be sports, it could be just activities with the family, going to movies, you know. Sometimes alcohol becomes something to do when you're bored, or it becomes what everybody does on the weekends. But I think if we keep our kids active in healthy activities, then it'll deter from the alcohol use.
That's what we were saying.
Yeah, it hit the nail right on the head. So there's all kinds of things that could be considered a deterrent: after-school programs, being at in public places instead of being isolated in the home, and sports. I hear that's a good one. And even though the round dance isn't necessarily intramural sports like basketball or something, it is quite not an athletic, but definitely requires a lot of movement. And that, you know, while you're there and you're having a good time, you're not really concentrating or looking forward to getting involved in any destructive behaviors or alcohol or drugs or anything like that.
You know what else is great about the round dance being held this weekend?
What's that?
It also involves our traditional ways too.
That's correct. Yeah. I went to a round dance in White Swan, and actually earlier this last year, that was the first round dance I'd actually been to, and it was pretty killer.
And you know what else is that if a lot of people go to this event, you're around that many more people who are deciding that they want to live a life drug and alcohol free.
I think that really goes to show a lot of times too, like a lot of the students say, well, a lot of my friends are using or abusing or something, and I just want to be like them, or I feel more like I'm connected with them. But exactly like you just mentioned, Ryan, that if you go to a public health event or something where people are deciding to not be drug and alcohol free, at least for the evening, you're surrounded by hundreds of people who feel the same way.
Hey, we do have a Facebook page that Mike created that's ready for people to interact with us that way. We apologize that we do not have email set up, the Ryan Craig at Yakima.com email this week. We're hoping we'll have that set up for next week, and we do thank you guys for the phone calls. Mike, if you want to mention what somebody who is a Facebook user can do to interact with that page.
Yeah, if you want to interact with our show within our borders on AM 1490, you can check out the Facebook page that we put up for our show. You just search like you would a friend or a business within our borders, and our page will pop up.
Now, we heard from a young man named Danny. We heard from a young man named Oscar. There's also a young lady named Alejandra, who's also a part of the White Swan Dream Makers, and they continue with the message about marijuana use and youth.
Hello, my name is Alejandra Dame. I'm a 7th grader and a White Swan Dream Maker. Even though marijuana is legal for adults, it's not for kids. Be a parent, not a friend. Know who your kids are with and where they are. Set the rules. Know the facts. Marijuana is illegal for kids and in the reservation too.
So those are some messages that they put together on their own.
Yeah, a lot of these kids, I really commend them for their research and for their outgoingness to share those messages.
Okay. So, week number 1, we talked about bullying. Week number 2, we talked about communication with your children. And today we're talking about drug and alcohol awareness. If you're listening right now and you feel like you have a show topic that would be great for discussion, and it's not only for Mike and I, but it's for the whole community, because I know some people might not pick up the phone and call or get on their phone and send an email or post something on Facebook, but you're still getting something out of the program, I hope. If you can find a way to get a hold of us, whether it be through email, phone call, Facebook, give us those ideas. Give us those suggestions. We already have, I think, probably, 10 suggestions that we all wrote down and got together and talked about the good things and the bad things about those topics and what they would bring to the community if we talked about them.
Yeah, and this show is for the community. We've heard how the nation, by every other network, the major networks, about how communities across the nation deal or approach issues and events. We want to know exactly how our immediate local area thinks about things going on in our area, and we can share that on our show here within our borders.
I think it goes back to when, I think earlier in the show at about 3:15, and I was getting that point across, is that things are different for our community.
That's right.
Problems and certain issues are worse for our community. Why is that? There's a lot of reasons. What are we going to do? Not what is somebody going to do for us. What are we going to do, us, the community, to change that?
That's right. And if you have any ideas or for show topics or solutions to social issues within our borders, check us out at Within Our Borders on Facebook, and just leave some comments. And also, if you have any show topics, definitely that's a good way to do it. And then you can use that page to interact with local members of our community to just intermingle and bring up some conversations about how we deal with these things in our everyday lives.
Drug and Alcohol Awareness Week. Thank you to the Yakima Nation Tribal School for the great job that they did with the mock crash. Thank you to everybody who was involved in putting the show together. I want to thank Sean Mills, who helped out with getting some sound bites. We also want to thank Josephine Buck for all of her help. Mike, anybody that we're leaving out?
We're leaving out Ryan Craig and the Ryan Craig Show for putting all the work and putting together sound bites. And I think it was pretty cool.
All right, Mike. So next Wednesday, we don't know exactly what we're going to go with yet. What are you thinking? You got any ideas?
I don't, but then maybe we can bring it a little more up-tempo. Maybe we can talk about something that's happening around that time.
Oh, you know what we were going to do?
What's that?
We were going to do the Easter show.
Easter show. So if those of you who remembered the Valentine show,
right,
we can talk about Easter. Do catch, be sure to catch Ryan or I, and if you want to record a soundbite about what Easter like is in your home or your family or your immediate community, what some of the traditions are.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll change it up a bit.
Not to act like a little kid and put the spotlight on me, but you know what day Easter falls on this year?
Sunday.
That's true, but it's 3/31. You know what 3/31 is?
What's 3/31?
My birthday.
Uh-oh.
Spaghetti.
Uh-oh, yeah.
It's my birthday?
Yeah.
That's what my son used to say when he was little, because the way things worked out, he wouldn't be with us when it was his birthday, but it would always be somebody else's birthday. Then he would come over, and he was like 2 or 3, and then he would always want it to be his birthday, so he would say, "It's my birthday? It's my birthday?" It's actually kind of sad, but I keep saying that now all these years later.
It's my birthday?
He's a good kid. All right. Have a great day, everybody. This show will be back next Wednesday. Oh, you know what I'm doing?
What's that?
And you probably won't listen because you're not into it, but I'm starting a sports show tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Kind of sports?
All sports.
All sports?
Except golf. Hey, just joking. But that's going to be tomorrow. We're going to have guests. So Wednesdays, 3 to 4, Within Our Borders. Thursdays, 3 to 4, we're going to call it... Oh, man. Hold on one second. I have it written down. Full Court. That's what we're going to call it. Full Court Res Style.
Nice.
I'm a busy man over here. All right, let's get to work on the Easter show now. You ready?
All right, let's get ready.
Mike and I are going to go get to work. Have a great day, everybody.